Reddit stories. Karen in the emergency room challenges my 3-year-old daughter's life exciting story. Hello, people from the Reddit channel. Welcome everyone to another episode full of incredible and engaging stories. Today, we'll explore fascinating narratives straight from the vast world of Reddit. Prepare to be moved, reflected and, of course, surprised by the stories we have to share. Before we dive into these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any content. Let's go! A Karen in the emergency room believes that her and her children's lives are more valuable than the life of my daughter, who is just 3 years old and fighting pneumonia. Meanwhile, her daughter is in the emergency room because she has a cold. Here's what happened. Subscribe, I'm the Fool on YouTube, and press the bell to turn on notifications. This is my experience with overbearing parents in the pediatric emergency room. This happened yesterday. My 3-year-old daughter was diagnosed with bacterial pneumonia, and we ended up in the emergency room due to her difficulty breathing. Pneumonia is extremely serious. She received nebulization, oxygen and N4 for more medication while we waited for a space in the PICU. The emergency room was crowded, the rooms are small and shared only by a curtain. At around 4 p.m., a family arrived with a mother, father and a 5-year-old daughter. The mother glanced briefly at my side of the room, clearly noticing my daughter hooked up to 4 machines. It was obvious that it was not just a simple injured toe. I couldn't help but overhear the parents explaining that their daughter was in the emergency room due to a stomachache, while the child excitedly asked for something to eat. Her parents insisted it was a kidney infection, but I didn't know her history and wasn't interested. My daughter was given a steroid via nebulizer to help open her airways. His oxygen level, desired at 90 or higher, kept dropping into the low 80s, setting off the alarm. The nebulizer made noise, and the side effect was hyperactivity. Within 30 minutes, their extremely sick daughter was making a fuss. They called the nurse, demanding a private room so their daughter could rest. The nurse explained that there were no private rooms in the emergency room. My daughter started coughing, causing panic as her oxygen level dropped, and she vomited. As I tried to help her, I heard the arrogant mother asking the nurse how long we would have to put up with that noise. After my daughter became exhausted, the overbearing mother called the nurse again, asking for a quiet place so her daughter could rest. Meanwhile, the daughter was making a lot of noise, and they started playing with the lights. The room has switches to control the lights on each side and a main switch to turn off all the lights. My daughter is afraid of the dark, but her authoritarian father turned off the lights, leaving the room very dark. I asked my husband to turn on the lights on our side, which he did. The authoritarian mother called the nurse to complain that it was too late for her daughter to sleep. It was 5 p.m., the nurse explained that they could close the door and turn off the lights on their side, but they should leave our side alone. They make some complaints about how sick their daughter is. Meanwhile, my daughter is literally drowning in her own lungs, something I'm sure they realized since everything is audible. The nurse leaves, and they turn off the lights in the entire room again. My husband immediately turns ours on and calls through the curtain that we need our lights on. Silence. Our nurse comes in to take care of my daughter's 4, and they try to pressure her into making us turn off the lights. Our nurse basically tells them to knock it off. So they start to press for more space. They try to push our chair away from where my husband is sitting, They put the chair right on our side of the room, pushing the curtain in our faces. Basically, my husband pushes her back. They call, complain, and the cycle repeats. Finally, a spot opens up in the PICU, and we are told we would be admitted within the hour. Overbearing parents complain, claiming they asked for a private room first. The nurse explains that we are being admitted without the need for a private room. The authoritarian parents demand to be admitted first, claiming that their daughter is much sicker. The nurse states that there is no reason for their daughter to be admitted as she is just constipated. Once she poops, they are free to go. Parents start to freak out. This is my narrative about how the parents of a little girl who needed to poop thought they were more important than my little girl with pneumonia. Many of you say you would have caused some kind of scene, acted aggressively, or confronted them for their behavior. I worked in an emergency room for 4 years, and unruly parents were often removed without their children. I remained calm because the care my daughter was receiving to keep her heart beating was more important. Even though my daughter was never in danger, her nurses were caring, helpful, friendly, and responsive. I would have faced terrible challenges if it meant my daughter was getting care. The petty complaints and power play on the other side of the curtain didn't affect my daughter. The nurses were taking care of it. With that said, what should I have done to make the other girl, who was just constipated, simpler about this whole situation if they had told me this sooner? But maybe they didn't want to tell the overbearing parents in case there was some other problem. They were just waiting until she actually pooped to see if anything changed. Anyway, I think warning would have made this whole situation more civil, as they would have realized that nothing serious was happening to their little girl. On the other hand, my daughter, sharing the same room, was battling pneumonia, a condition you can die from. Before we move on to the next topic, if you like I'm the Idiot, you'll probably love I'm the Genie. Check out the link below in the description. I'm the idiot for not sharing my prize with a mentally disabled person in a contest. Every summer, my community holds a cooking competition. Typically, around 20 to 30 individuals or couples attempt to cook X, Y, and Z, potentially earning a portion of the entry fee. While the rest head to the community parks, it's not summer yet, but they decided to move up the competition this year, which involved a pasta sauce that I've been participating in over the years since my wife and I moved here. This was the first time I participated as a competitor. It was early in the morning, and among the other competitors was a young girl called Jessica, who is 15 or 16 years old and has Asperger's syndrome and autism. I don't know much about this condition, but I'll call her Jessica. It seems that many people found out that she was participating in the competition, as we had a news team recording her for the news, something unheard of until then. Long story short, I won the competition and $50,500, no prize for second or third place, just winner takes all. My wife and I were shocked, as I like to think I'm a decent home cook and I'm especially proud of my pasta sauce. We celebrated for about 20 minutes, but the event organizers came to us. You can imagine what happened next. They asked us if we could donate our prize to Jessica as a gesture of goodwill, mentioning that it would garner publicity since reporters were present. Of course we refused. After all, $1,500 is a significant amount. They then proposed splitting 50-50 with Jessica, and again we said no. Some people nearby overheard the conversation, and apparently we were considered insensitive for not sharing the prize. There were awkward moments, with about 10 other people criticizing us for being an embarrassment to the community. We had to withdraw, and we still haven't received our winnings. We should do it tomorrow at the mayor's office. I can hardly imagine what awaits us. Before we go any further, if you like I'm the Idiot, you'll probably love I'm the Genie. Check out the link below in the description. Now about the update. My wife went to collect our winnings yesterday, but they cut her by $500. My wife, being a more reserved person, avoided conflict and accepted the reduced amount. They gave the rest to Jessica, making up a false story that they created a second-place prize at the time and that Jessica won it thanks to the generosity of my wife and I. Of course, this was completely false. We made a post on our community Facebook page, sharing our experience of the competition, but expressing our displeasure with the comments we received and the treatment we received. It appears that Jessica's family became aware of this and contacted my wife to meet with us earlier today. Surprisingly, Jessica's family gave us the money back. Although they were initially excited, they were unable to accept under false pretenses, considering it condescending to give Jessica an award just for having ASD. It was a joint decision between Jessica and her parents. We talked some more and found out that Jessica participated because she is writing a cookbook for an Asperger's syndrome organization. She is an avid cook and faces challenges in maintaining consistency in her preparations. So, half of the prize goes to her, and the other half goes to the organization. Part of the reason she entered the competition was to raise awareness about the cookbook itself, as well as autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Hopefully, she wanted to win, of course. We didn't know any of this, and I believe that's why the organizers were looking for good public relations. My wife asked her if there was anything she could do to help, offering assistance where possible, such as editing photographs, etc. I believe everything ended well for everyone, except for my disgust towards the competition organizers. And now, one last update. Yes, I know that mentally disabled is not the right term. I've learned a lot about ASD in the last few days, and I just used that expression to keep it consistent with the previous post about autism. Autism, in particular, may not always or ever be considered a mental disability. I should have used the term disabled. Going back to the original decision, I'm Eric for not sharing my prize with a disabled person in a contest. If it's so crucial for Jessica to win this competition to gain favorable news coverage for her events, why wouldn't the organizers shoulder these expenses themselves, rather than trying to force it out of the hands of the people who legitimately won the competition? If the goal is to get good PR, playing with fire is the quickest way to get bad PR, especially when word gets out that they are trying to manipulate the outcome of the event to get the press they want, even if it is condescending to the public person to whom they are giving the prize. If the whole situation is non-profit and they don't have the budget to pay this extra premium for this newly invented second place, why are they so committed to doing this from the beginning? I don't know. Let me know how you guys view this situation in the comments below. Am I the idiot or not? It's because... Now, a turning point in my personal life. Last night my wife left and didn't come home until this morning. This is terrible. I'm furious right now, but also deeply depressed. I know what I need to do, but it's too painful. My wife didn't return home last night. She was out with some friends, which is quite normal for her. She usually comes back around 2 a.m. on those nights, so I stayed up waiting until about 2:30 a.m. I called her to check, and she answered, with voices in the background. She told me they were at a party and would leave in a few minutes. However, she wasn't home at 3 a.m. so I texted but didn't get a response until around 4 a.m. I called again but she sent me to voicemail after a few tries. My wife stumbled through the door at 6:47 this morning. I know the exact time because I was worried since she was wearing an out-of-the-box dress with mesh leggings. Additionally, I noticed that her leggings were clearly torn, and her makeup was smeared. My heart sank at the sight of her, and my immediate concern was whether she had been assaulted. She just shook her head when I asked her and questioned her about what she was doing. Then she simply stated that I knew what she was doing, and that confirmed what the voice in the back of my head had been screaming since she walked in. My wife cheated on me last night. When I asked who it was, she shrugged almost casually, mentioning that it was someone they met at the club. She went to his house, stayed with him, and then came home. She said she didn't want to fight and just wanted to sleep, and that's exactly what she did. Until now, she is still sleeping and didn't even take a shower before blacking out, saying our relationship is over. We don't have children, we just rent, so it shouldn't be an extremely complicated process. I keep trying to convince myself that there is something to salvage here, even though I have stated that betrayal would be a red line for me. I need to reinforce this now. Jumping into the future, there is an update. All the right things happened. I haven't left the house anymore, but I haven't been able to take the day off work, so I'm writing this on my lunch break now. It's been a struggle to keep myself together today. Honestly, I had to walk away to the bathroom twice to cry. It's been brutal. I'll post something more detailed later because, damn, there's a lot. I'm exhausted. I've only slept about 4 hours total since all of this happened. To the woman who felt compelled to send me a topless photo, thank you, but also no thank you. My heart just isn't into that kind of thing right now. Jumping into the future, there is one final update. Sorry I didn't resolve this sooner. I couldn't take time off work yesterday because my boss is kind of annoying. I was a complete mess at work yesterday, so I was able to take the rest of the week off as a vacation. Luckily, I think I went through all the stages of grief while my soon-to-be ex-wife was sleeping. I didn't expect my post to get attention. I thought I just needed to try and talk to someone about it because I wasn't in a good mental state. I made the post in the morning, and at noon, she was still passed out in the room. She had already processed things a little more and had a plan in her head that she was starting to put into action. I made a short list of questions I wanted answers to, gathered all my important documents, laptop, etc. So I went to my room and started packing a bag. I know a lot of people wanted me to kick her out, and I considered that. However, honestly, I'm not very attached to this place. We just rent, and I'm in a lucky enough situation to be able to say that paying half the rent for a few months isn't going to break me financially. It's going to hurt a little, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to make it. I feel like being in this place will only last to remind me of her anyway. I need to be looking forward, not behind. She ended up waking up in the middle of me packing my suitcase. There was momentary confusion as she looked around the room, and then she began to cry. Maybe this is horrible of me, but I didn't bother to comfort her. I explained to her that I had her Uber screenshots and text messages from her phone, and that, along with her confirmation, was enough for everything between us to be completely resolved. She didn't answer me and just cried louder. I hesitated to try to continue the conversation, but decided to just pack the rest of my bag and walked back into the room until she left. When she finally left the room, she sat next to me on the couch and asked me if we could talk about things. I told her as calmly as possible that this wasn't how things were going to work. I was going to ask questions, and I wanted honest answers. She said she would be honest, so I continued. My voice was shaking all the time, and it took everything I had to control myself, but I continued. The first question was about the first time she cheated on me. She started crying before responding and told me no, she had cheated on me several times throughout our relationship. I quote her exact words here, just doing the deed, a way to let off steam. None of it meant anything. I wrote a comment right after I made my post that all the love couldn't just disappear at once. Well, I may have realized at that moment that I wasn't dealing with my wife. The person I was married to was literally not in the room. At this moment, it was someone different. She refused to tell me exactly how many times she had cheated, just a little more than last night. The next question was whether she used protection. She didn't hesitate before nodding emphatically. She seemed surprised that I asked, and I'll still get tested just to be safe. I did some research on the weather and will take care of it. Next, I asked if her friends were also cheating on their spouses. The answer was yes and no. I tried to get her to tell me which of her friends were cheating so I could contact her spouses. She probably should, because her refusal led me to message practically the romantic partner of every single one of her friends I could find on social media. There is a couple I don't know or couldn't find, but I did my part. The following question, this was the answer that destroyed me the most. I'll use her exact words again, I need to have variety. I told her it's not like our bedroom life is boring. She clarified that it's not the same thing as something new I did. I don't have an answer for that. I expected something about me working too much or not supporting her emotionally, but no. She just got involved with other guys because she felt like it and wanted to have some fun. When I didn't respond, she started asking me about counseling and therapy. I reiterated that our relationship was over and that I was leaving. What she did next disgusted me. My ex tried to get involved with me, putting her hands on me and starting to try to take off my clothes. I felt like vomiting and pushed her away. She left after a few seconds. She kept telling me that she would figure out a way to fix this, that we would work it out together. I told her there was no way, and she started crying again. She went to the bathroom and locked herself inside. I was tired of everything at that point. I called her mother and told her what was happening, the full story, including the betrayal, the questions I had asked and the fact that I was leaving. I have always maintained a good relationship with my ex's parents. When they knew they were on their way to the city, about an hour away, I grabbed my things and left the apartment. The water system in the bathroom was irritating me, feeling empty to me, especially given the evasive answers to my questions. I packed another suitcase before leaving, taking all the things I thought had some sentimental value. I parked the car, sat down and waited until I could contact a friend to find a place to sleep. I tried to take a nap, but the adrenaline was still running strong. I knew when her parents arrived, because she started calling me insistently. Ignoring the calls and messages, she went from sad and tearful to furious. She accused me of being a traitor for telling her mother everything. I don't regret it, despite countless messages, from insults to pleas to come back, including photos of the food she was consuming for some reason. I canceled all joint subscriptions to avoid financial complications and changed all important passwords. I'm temporarily staying on a friend's couch, but looking for short-term rentals until I find something permanent. Additionally, I am looking for a divorce lawyer, following a recommendation from a coworker. I am immensely grateful for the support received. It is difficult to talk about emotional issues with people close to you, and this space has been invaluable for venting. This wasn't the first time she cheated on me. Now, I'm focused on starting the divorce process. As for my ex, her concern for her own reputation is surprising, showing more care for that than for the pain she caused. It's surreal that he continues to contribute half the rent for a place he doesn't live in, even after being scammed. He showed open support, while she betrayed his trust more than once. She doesn't even admit how many times she cheated on him. I hope he takes the test and that he is free from complications, as the situation is dangerous. A significant part of their relationship was revealed when he admitted he didn't mind comforting her after the affair, showing a revealing perspective on what was left of that relationship. He still carries a weight with him because he wasn't comforting her. That sums up the entire dynamic between the two. It seems that this woman has been spoiled for a long time, developing a self-centered personality. Her view of reality is limited to her own perspective, her needs, desires, and desires. She simply cannot understand, for example, when he stated that the relationship was over, as this does not align with her view of the world. I hope none of you have to face anything similar, but if you have been in situations like this, feel free to share your stories in the description below. Let me know how you would handle this situation. When subscribing, don't forget to turn on notifications and set the playlist to play in the background. I thank everyone for watching this video from the AITA channel until the end. If you enjoyed the content, please share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next videos. Your support is essential for the channel's growth. Until the next story.